want to talk to you today about something that I often encounter with parents, which is that they can arrive fearing that this might be the last chance for their child. Sometimes this could be based on the fact that their child's difficulties, like the way that distress is being shown, such as the symptoms of anxiety or their behaviours, are so big that are having a big impact. Or maybe they've tried something else before, or maybe more than one thing, and this really does feel like they don't know what else to do. Often the things that have been tried can be things like support from school through learning mentors or Senkos, maybe even mental health support teams. Maybe they've looked at parenting strategies and online resources. Maybe they've also tried other therapists or therapies and maybe holistic therapies too. The issue becomes that this has not created any lasting change and the situation seems to be getting worse and not better. And so there's a pressure that increases. So when they arrive to meet me, this feels like it's the final door and approach they can try. Therapy isn't a single method. Yes, it doesn't always work how we think it does. And this is not because there's a problem with your child. It's often because it's something about the approach isn't fitting or the relationship's not working. There is a process in place and it has to fit the child's developmental stage, it has to match their emotional ability, and also it has to be in the context of the family and what's happening in family systems and the child's everyday life. It's also important to think that therapy, if it didn't work before, it doesn't mean that your child can't be helped. Like I said, the issue isn't your child, it's often about the approach and how that is being applied to the child. Timing is really important, and sometimes we don't always get that right. It doesn't mean that you're out of options. It's often more likely you haven't found the right thing for you. And it is a minefield out there to understand what that might be. So, when therapy feels like a final chance, there's three things that might be helpful. Firstly, it's to think that the behaviors and the symptoms that we see, so like how anxiety is shown, angry outbursts, school refusal, child withdrawal, they're often the signals of the distress. And yes, there are therapies that can focus on those things like anxiety, for instance, and that can bring a great amount of relief. Sometimes though we need to look a bit deeper at the root cause. And so if we can get to that, it's something can sometimes take longer, but the change can be longer lasting. It's also really important to think about measurable progress. Parents need to be able to see that things are shifting. Um, I work really hard to try not to set up vague reassurance for parents and to be really upfront and to build in opportunities to review progress and also to make sure we've got some clear goals from the start and that we're working to a timescale that we all think is suitable. How do we see these changes? Well, it can be things like there's fewer escalations at home, school attendance begins to increase, a child is better able to vocalize their difficulties and how they're feeling. And when they do get frustrated or upset, maybe it takes them less time to recover. The third thing to think about is parents. Children don't change in isolation, and parents need support to be guided and not blamed for difficulties. And that's something that I often see. When parents can understand their child's difficulties, what's happening for them emotionally, when and how the behaviors occur, what the triggers are, and being able to kind of step back and think about what might be going on in these situations, they're better able to respond. And when they're better able to respond, there can be more empathy. The parent feels better because they don't feel like they're getting it wrong. And this really begins to increase change. The fear that therapy won't work when I meet those parents is often because they're exhausted. They have tried a lot, but the emotional and mental impact on them is huge. They reach a place of burnout and that blocks care for children. It makes it very difficult to parent, and that's not a parent's fault. It's the stress and constant nature of the situation. No therapy should feel like it's your last chance. It's about finding the correct expertise, the right structure, and the right approach for your child, but for you as a family as well. And when you find that fit, you'll get a better sense of things changing. You'll begin to feel more confident more quickly, and you'll feel reassured straight away. And that then reduces the stress on the family and the stress on you as a parent, and it enables you to parent and be more present. The running out of options is rarely the truth, but of course, each time you try and find someone, it can be hard. And when you've got no energy, it feels even harder. So, looking in the right places, speaking to therapists, get them to help guide you in the different places you could approach. That's when you can find the right support.